Hello there, it's your favorite half Japanese, half Pakistani. In today's video we would be reacting to a video called Would Japanese Marry a Foreigner? And in this specific sense I will also answer if a Japanese guy or girl would marry a Pakistani person. Because technically I have the answer in front of you guys, which is myself. Because my mother, who is Japanese, married my father, so that answers one of the question. But I'll go into the specific details about like what are the issues specifically with a Japanese marrying a Pakistani or a Pakistani marrying a Japanese. So while I watch this video called Would Japanese Marry a Foreigner, I'll also answer the questions kind of. So let's begin.
Hey guys, it's Cat the Cat, and right now we are on the streets of Tokyo and we're gonna go and ask Japanese people if they would marry a foreigner or if they prefer to marry a Japanese person. Let's go and find out. If you're new to your channel, don't forget to subscribe, and let's go and ask
Yep, she also said subscribe to my channel, not hers. Also go to her channel and subscribe, but subscribe to me first.
Peace. Would you marry a foreigner? 海外の人と結婚したいですか？したくないですか？どうしますか？
うわ憧れだもん。だってその話してたもんね今。タイムリーめっちゃ。
So if you're wondering what they're doing is right now is it's like, you know, tally, but it's not. They're making the tally in the shape of Japanese character, which means justice or being correct. It's also used as like if you put it with hiragana, it becomes tadashi. Just giving some context for people to understand.
ちょうどその話したってことはちょうど何の話したんですか？
友達の彼氏が外国人
でいいなっていうなんかすごいなっていう憧れみたいな。
友達の彼氏何人ですか？
何人ですか？
わからない。
そんなこともわかんないか。
けど外人さんっていうあれがあったのでいいな。
Nah, they don't even know where it's
どういうところがいい
from.
ですか？
なんだろう
なんだろうな。So basically, I'll tell you guys, these girls are not like, you know, they're like, we'll date someone who is like, or marry someone who is not Japanese, until they date someone who is a foreigner. In this sense, I don't think they will end up marrying a Japanese guy, what I feel. Because some people are really determined to find a foreign boyfriend, because they have this like fantasy in their head that they are like, you know, really much better than the Japanese guys. But when they date someone, they end up finding, oh, there is this difference between us, this culture different, this culture different. For instance of Pakistan, I'd say there's not many Pakistani in Japan, so it reduces the chances of Japanese and Pakistani interaction already. But an example of Japanese marrying a Pakistani is already in front of you guys, which is like me. So that answers one of the questions, kind of, isn't it? Already that there is possibilities, and I've seen many other half Japanese, half Pakistanis. Not many, but like more than other combinations. So there are people who are marrying Japanese.
日本人にはない感じは何がないんですかね？
なんだろう。Yep, I knew they were gonna say that. They're gonna be a little abstract about it because they don't know. Because it's a fantasy, they don't know exactly what they want.
外人さんの方はだからそれ憧れます。
愛情表現。
愛情表現とかオープンな感じとかいいなみたいなあります。
もし結婚したら相手の国に住みますか？それとも日本がいいですか？
それは日本がいい。
Exactly, they're gonna say they want to be in Japan. As they said, in that case, Japan is best. This is where we feel safest, and that's of course because you don't want to go to like a different country and have these cultural shocks. You want to be in a comfortable situation where like everything is already familiar to you, unless you're like really, you know, want the challenge and really like, you know, other countries. Because in my opinion, If I was a Japanese girl, 僕は女性だったら in that case, I wouldn't want to go to Pakistan because, you know, it's a completely different world. It's like totally different. The cultures are divided by history and religion and everything you could think about. And I mean, to be honest, Pakistan is not like the best, it doesn't have the best of reputation. I mean, it's a good country to, in my opinion, like what I have experienced, like people are friendly and it's a good country. But that is not what these people think. These are people that are going to have imagination from, and they're going to create this imagination through media and news. But someone who is really accepting, like my mother or other Japanese people who have married Pakistani people, but that's really a rare case, I'd say.
つくんだろうな、やっぱり落ち着くからここがいいかなと思います。
じゃあでも、いずれ相手が海外の人であれば両親も会わなくちゃいけないので、海外いたらどうしますか？
頑張るそれはそれで頑張る
なんか日本人にないものがありみたいな話だったので、何がないっていうか何がありですかね？
なんだろうな
イメージでも大丈夫。
でも本当にその何
想像はできない。
めめしくない
もうスパッとする感じ
オラオラ系って感じですか？
オラオラ系とはちょっと違うかもしれない
なんで日本の人がいいですか？
同じ文化で育ってきてるんで、やっぱそういうことで共通の好きなこととかあったりするので話しやすいかなと思います。
どうでしょう？なんで日本
For example, I'll give you guys an example. If you're Pakistani, right, would you want to eat like Japanese food every day? I wouldn't think so because it's like, you know what's proper Japanese food? It's like miso shiro to sakana to rice. My gohan. It's like the most, you know, healthiest, wouldn't say bland, but like kind of on the bland side food you will eat. And you wouldn't want to eat it every day if you're brought up in a country where you eat a lot of spices, like, you know, masala and stuff. And yeah, in that sense, I would say that, you know, I mean, that's one of the things. You need to accept the other culture as well already. You need to be exposed to the other culture. And if you can't do that, it's hard. And these people already know they can't do that. That's what they're saying. No, I can't, like, marry a girl who is a foreigner.
人がいいですか？
なんか文化の違いでやっぱり合わないところとかもあると思うんで、日本人の方が過ごしやすいかなみたいな、一緒にって感じです。
どういったところが一番過ごしやすいだったりしますか？
食生活とかもいろいろあると思う。
じゃあまず海外の人と結婚したいです。なんででしょう？
なんだろう、やっぱり自分がハーフってこともあって、できたら韓国人の人とが気が合うなっていうのもありますし、その韓国人以外の方でも最近すごくグローバル化じゃないですか。で、外国人の方がたくさん日本に遊びに来てくれてて、大学でも留学生の方がいっぱいいて、
See, she is exposed already. She's half and she's exposed to different cultures. And there are fewer people who are exposed to different cultures in Japan because Japan is an isolated island where not many different cultures mixed up in the history. It's about history and culture, as I said. So in this sense, there are many Japanese people who haven't been exposed to foreigners or they have not dated foreigners. So it's hard for them to accept different cultures and adapt to different cultures. But if you have, for example, like this girl, she has been like she's half firstly, and yeah, she'll accept people from the same culture as hers firstly and be more international. You know what I mean? For example, for me, I accept more, I'd say everyone kind of, because I'm so like more internationally connected, not just a half Japanese-Pakistani, but I'm open to all of the cultures, because like especially living in London makes you come across different cultures.
交流の中でやっぱり異文化が違う文化なので、多少苦労することもあると思うんですけど、やっぱりその分新しい発見であったり、なんか分かり合えたりする楽しさが2倍になったり 違うことをやることで2倍になったりするんじゃないかなと思って、そうですね、外国人の方となんか今別に誰かってわけじゃないんですけどしたいなって思います。
相手の国に住むか日本に住むかどうしますか？
No.
合わせます、相手に。
Hey. Hey, okay. Sure. So see, there's other people like her who want to live in the other country.
いい女なんで
ナイスナイスじゃあ日本人がいいっていうわけなので、なんででしょう？
今彼氏がいて、その彼氏が日本人なので普通にそっちにしました。
彼氏自慢していいですよ
特に自慢することないです
なんで日本人がやっぱりいいと思いますか？
そうですね、なんかやっぱ自分はそれこそ純日本人なので、やっぱ日本人の方とやっぱ気が合うっていうのと、あとは普通にハーフの子産みたいは産みたいんですよ。めっちゃ可愛いじゃないですか、やっぱり。なんですけどやっぱりなんか自分
Language barrier, of course. Forgot about language barrier. For example, my father speaks Japanese. Like he's been there for so long, so of course he can communicate with, especially like how I met my mother. I mean, if he wasn't able to speak like Japanese, he wouldn't have communicated with my mother. And even if you speak English, Japanese people don't tend to speak English that much. They learn it in high school, but they don't learn it to the extent that you can speak it fluently. So that's also creates issues. So it's like a really, rare situation where you'd find a girl who is like speaks English or like maybe Urdu, I don't know, there might be someone. And someone who is accepting of the culture, knows about your culture, wants to know about your culture and wants to live in the other country maybe. Or, I mean, I don't know. All of these things are hard to come by. You wouldn't know until you date a foreigner how hard it is.
あんまり英語喋れない分すごい苦労もしそうだしって考えたら、普通に日本人と出会う機会も多いし、やっぱ日本人がいいのかなって思いました。
文化が違うからちょっと不安って感じ？
はい、食文化とか結構私日本食すごい好きなので、なんか相手に合わせるってなった時にパンばっかりとかになったらどうしようみたいな
Yeah, who wants to eat like her? Like I wouldn't say a Japanese girl would want to eat roti every day. I mean, and you don't want to eat Japanese food every day. So yeah, you need to balance it out. And even if you balance it out, you eat 3 days and 4 days, that it's still hard. People do get fed up. So yeah, again another reason.
勝手に妄想を膨らまして、あ、違うみたいな
なんでイエス？
可愛いから、なんかハーフとか、あと結構国籍にとらわれないで、なんかフレンドリーにいたいからみたいな。
国籍取らないでかっこいい。どの国は例えば理想だったらこの国と付き合いたいな、結婚したいなもありますか？
ノルウェー、スウェーデンとか。
なんでそこがいいですか？
温泉があるし。
What? That's the most random
なんか綺麗なところって。
reason.
引っ越したいです。
温泉。
Okay. なんで海外の人ですか？
結構礼儀正しい人とか、なんかしっかりしてる人が多いなと思います。めっちゃ真面目なんか結構外国人の店員さんの方がちゃんとしてたりする。わかる。なんか日本人よりちゃんとしてるかなと思った。
That's imagination, to be honest. Like, I doubt they have dated a foreign person, so I wouldn't say the imagination is a little different, For example, like for a Pakistani guy, they go to Japan and they will like, most of the guys are a little bit turkey, I'd say. Don't deny this. मुझे यार पाकिस्तानी लड़कों का पता है, and they want to date a foreign girl because they are a little bit turkey panna. लेकिन मैं एक चीज बता दूं, never go full turkey.
結婚したら日本に住みますか？海外に行きますか？
日本がいいですね。
なんででしょう？
やっぱ住み慣れたところの方がいいですね。
すごい、いつも日本人が理解らしいってみんな言うんで、逆ですか？
逆です。日本人ダメです。
なんでですか？なんか経験があるんですかね？
なんか飲食店とかめっちゃダメなところ多い。
But that doesn't mean like all of the guys are bad. It's like, for example, similarly, like if like you meet like one Pakistani guy and he's like, he or she's like really like treats you badly, that doesn't mean every Pakistani guy is like bad.
仕方とかねめっちゃ乱暴
They've got this imagination already. They have,
どうみたいな
come on,
そう
girls.
外人の方がめっちゃ優しいねそうね
まずしなくていいかなって聞いた時に気になったので、なんで日本人がいいですか？
別に特にあんまり理由はないんですけど、なんかあんま関わりがないから想像できなくってノーにしました。
知り合いとかにもあんまりいないですか？
あんまりいないですね。
One of the
わかんない
reasons.
感じで。
そうですね。はい。
じゃあ海外の人がいい、なんででしょう？
なんかすごく視野が広がりそうだし、愛情表現とかなんかもっと愛してくれそう。なんか日本人は最近消極的が多いイメージがあるので海外勝手に積極的なイメージがあるからいいなって思います。
優しいからです。
どういったところが優しいですか？
なんかですかね、コンビニとかで働いてるんですけど、なんかちゃんとなんかお礼とかもめちゃくちゃ言ってくれる方が多いし、なんか優しいんですよね、対応とかも。だからいいなって思います
日本人の男子のお客様たまに失礼な人がいるってことですかね？
結構多いですねなんかカードポンって投げてくる人とかすごいなんかあーってなります
それで
Seriously?
全ての質問でした。ありがとうございました。
Okay, I think that's I'll also talk now more about like what I think. Don't take this video as a negative, like, oh, you go to Japan and you can never marry a Japanese girl. That's not the case. What I'm saying, I'm not saying that's the case. You need to find a person who is open-minded, you know, and knows about your culture or wants to know about different cultures. And specifically for Pakistan, one of the barriers is religion and family pressures. For example, for my father, it was really difficult for him to marry a Japanese. Why? Because my family was like, you know, putting pressure on him for not marrying a Japanese person, you know. But he still did in the end, because he was like, I'm living here, I want a partner here. I don't think if I bring someone from Pakistan to Japan, they will easily be able to adjust to the culture. And that's similarly true for any Japanese going to Pakistan as well. It's really hard for a Japanese person to, you know, adjust to Pakistan as well. But one of the things would be that if you have a future of living in Japan, then marrying a Japanese person is easier, because they would be like, oh, you're living in Japan, then there wouldn't be many cultural issues. They won't have to go through cultural shocks that would come from going to Pakistan. Well, other things that are, I think, long-term issues would be like cultural conflicts, like food, for example. You don't eat the same food, you don't have the same religion, even though Japanese people don't have, most of the time they don't have religions. Even if they do, they have Shintoism or Buddhism. I think there's many obstacles to marrying a Japanese person for a Pakistan person, but if you can get over them, like if you really want to like marry a Japanese person, and a Japanese person, even if you potentially find a Japanese person who is accepting of you, then a marriage can work out. Definitely I say that. And even one of the sides don't accept the other's culture or religion, then this wouldn't work out. And even if you marry, it would probably last like a few months, a year, 2 years. Yeah, so in my opinion, Japanese people are already not that much exposed to different cultures, especially like cultures like subcontinental culture, like and specifically, and even more specific, Pakistani culture. It would be really hard for you to find a girl who is accepting of that culture and religion. And if you find them, then you need to speak the same language. And after that, not just that, you also as a Pakistani needs to accept their culture, the Japanese culture, and respect that in order to actually like able to marry someone. I'm going in detail to make you guys understand how hard it is for you to marry a foreigner. I'm not saying you can't, but I'm saying it's hard. From my father's words, from other people's words, there are many people who have heard from and seen in Japan who have married Japanese people as a Pakistani. And if you're thinking to go back to Pakistan and want to take a Japanese person back to Pakistan, that's also like, that's a little bit even more impossible. But I have seen Japanese people who have come to Pakistan leaving Japan. it's hard. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. But potential is there, but I think the first step is to date someone, I guess, and then marry, because you need to know someone in order to marry someone. Anyhow, I'm going too much in detail. I can make also a video with my father about on this topic, but I'm not with him right now. And whenever I will be with him, I'll make a video with him about this stuff and other Japanese stuff and Pakistan stuff. And until then, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and hit the notification button. And I'll see you in the next video. Until then, mata ne!